Alright, hey everyone, welcome back. We're doing a quick tutorial here. This is kind of a follow-up to my last one about installing a Linux-based virtual machine within Windows 10. This one is going to be the exact opposite. We're going to be installing a Windows 7-based virtual machine within Ubuntu. So, let's get started. First thing we're going to need to do is go up here. We're going to type in software. That way we get the Ubuntu Software Center. This is where we're going to download our actual virtual machine client. For this one, we're going to be using the ever-free Virtualbox. So you just type it into the search bar. You'll get the nice little pretty icon if it ever decides to load. I do apologize. I think the wife might be streaming the Netflix. So please bear with me. That or I just don't have enough RAM in this machine. Because I am doing a nested virtual machine right here. This is an Ubuntu virtual machine that we're going to be doing the install within. But it should be the same, except for just faster. So I'm expecting to wait a little bit for the install process and what have you. Now, if I do sound nasally and sniffly and you hear sniffing and breathing and all this fun stuff, I'm going to try to clean the audio up, but no promises. Okay, anyway. Virtualbox, we're going to click install, put in the password, it'll run through its install. Next thing we're going to do, click back up here, and Virtualbox. Go ahead and click on it. Anyway, we've had a lot of wind. My sinuses are really messed up right now. As you can see, I attempted this once before, but messed it up. Basically, within VirtualBox, since it's a free program, it won't virtualize 64-bit processors. So this Ubuntu install is, for all intents and purposes, a 32-bit operating system, and I think we could actually see that up here. But yeah, no matter. Dug out my 32-bit copy. It doesn't say. The funny thing is, it recognizes what processor it is, but it doesn't. Yeah, so we're going to click on New, Windows 7, and we're going to hit Next. Now we're going to assign the amount of RAM to it. I'm going to go ahead and give it, let's see here, we're going to give it 2 gigs of RAM, or 2,000 megabytes. You know what? Yeah, we'll give it 2 gigs of RAM. We're going to create a virtual hard disk, and then we're going to use VDI again, just like last time. And the reason I use VDI is because that's the one I use. It's going to be a dynamically allocated drive, so we'll just keep on clicking next. You're going to set how big it is, what you want to name it. I'm just staying with the stock 25 gigs, just because that's more than enough for what I'm doing, because I'm not actually going to be using this virtual machine for anything. I'm simply using it as a tutorial. So we're going to click on settings for that virtual machine, drop down to system, make sure everything's configured properly, which I'm going with the default ones with the floppy disk, single processor, and then for storage, what we're going to do is, this one's going to be a little different for you if you're using an ISO, but I am going to use my host CD-ROM, which is going to be passed through, and that is actually the CD drive in my physical computer being passed through the virtual machine, and then going to be being used within another virtual machine. Yeah, it's kind of silly, but it works. So once we get our settings where we want them, we're going to go ahead and click on Start. And then what's going to happen is it's going to load up, and it's going to start with the Windows installation process. Now, if you've ever installed Windows on actual hardware, this is going to be identical to that. The only difference is a couple of naming things, a couple little small details for what it actually calls things, but what we're doing is actually the same. There's that sniffling for you guys. And I hope you can't hear the fan on my computer, because it is spinning away in there. Yeah. So since we're stuck here at the starting window screen for a minute, I'll let you know exactly what's going on here. So I have the triple displays up. On my leftmost display, I've got my XSplit running, doing the actual recording. Center display, we have our virtual machine running, with a virtual machine running within it, just sucking up CPU cycles. And then on my rightmost monitor, I actually have Adobe Audition running, doing the audio recordings for this, because I like to record them separate. That way I can clean them up a bit in post when I do all my editing and stuff. Just makes it a little nicer, a little easier, because then if there's an audio snafu, you could always just record a voiceover or something after the fact. But luckily I haven't had to do that, so but it does make it easier to clean it up and edit and what have you. So as you can see, we're getting into our Windows 7 environment here. And it's a little laggy just because, like I said, virtual machine within a virtual machine. Alright, so you're going to select your language, your time and currency format, your keyboard layout, just like you normally would for a Windows 7 install. We're going to click Install Now. While this is running through here for a second, I'm going to have a second. So, if you guys like these kind of tutorials, the whole software how-tos that most of us think are common knowledge and most of us think are dirt easy, but a lot of people have trouble with, let me know in the comments, direct message, Twitter, whatever, however you want to let me know. Just let me know, and I'll keep making these. Let me know a topic you want, and hell, if I don't know how to do it, I'll research it and we'll learn together. But yeah, like I said, let me know in the comments and what have you, and we'll get it figured out, because we all got to start somewhere, and YouTube, being the beautiful thing that it is now, it's a great way to learn how to do crap like this. So yeah, like I said, this process is going to take a little bit, just simply because it's, my processor is strapped for resources right now. I definitely am going to be doing a video series of setting up my server or what have you once I can actually buy the hardware to do it, because I'm planning on setting up a server rack in the back room with the switch and router in it. My main machine, which is this one, which I use for all my video editing and stuff. See, I'm kind of a pack rat, and I like to archive everything. So all the Let's Plays I record, all the video tutorials I record, even the stuff I don't use, it ends up saved on my hard drive, and I don't delete it, just in case I ever need it. I mean, shit, I've got a 20 gig folder of just B-rolls for videos I never made, but I'd rather have it and not use it than have to reshoot all of that and try to figure it all out. Anyway, we'll get back to that in a second. So, we're going to be greeted with the end user license agreement. We're going to accept it. Sell your soul to Microsoft there. Now, this is important. We're going to click custom install. I don't know why it even gives the option to upgrade, but we're going to do custom install. And then we're going to select our hard disk. Now, this is going to be the disk we created previously in the virtual machine setup, which is going to be a 25 gig or whatever size you set it to, unallocated disk. So we'll select that, click next, and then the install process should start. So, like I was saying, I'm going to be setting up a server rack with all my networking gear in it. It's actually going to have, this is just kind of a little spoiler to it, but I'm going to be putting a new NIC in my main rig, which is the one that I'm on right now, running a 10 gigabit connection directly to the server. And then it's also going to be running a 1 gigabit connection back to the switch for my internet and everything. And that direct connection is specifically going to be for transferring video files to the somewhere between 50 and 100 terabyte NAS that's going to be running on the server in there. So the Windows setup is, or the Windows install is going to run through. I'm just going to let it do its thing. We'll fast forward through this, and then I'll catch you on the other side of it. Alright, and there you have it. Don't take the performance numbers you're seeing within my virtual machine as anything indicative of what you're going to be seeing, just simply because it is a nested virtual machine that on a system that's already strapped for resources with recording and screen capping. But let's go ahead and actually, this isn't running terrible. I mean, it's not gonna win any awards or really play any games the way I've got it running, but I've used physical hardware that's worse than this. Actually, I may have spoken a little too soon here. Anyway, the whole point of this video is to show you the basic setup of how to do it. Now, your mileage may vary based on your hardware, depending on how much of your physical system resources you want to dedicate to the virtual machine. Now, big things to remember. The way I configured my virtual machine may not work for you. Just to give you a rundown, I am running a AMD FX 8350 running at 4.5 gigahertz. I have 10 gigs of system memory, a AMD RX 480 8 gigabyte card that's what's doing all the a good chunk of the rendering for the actual video recording for this. But oh, that's funny. That's really funny. The virtual machine only sees 4.29 gigahertz. But yeah, as you can see, it is a 32-bit operating system. Because virtual machine doesn't allow virtualization of 64-bit processors, we have to run a 32-bit operating system, because the virtual machine, my actual Ubuntu virtual machine, is a 32-bit operating system. Obviously, Windows is not activated yet, and that's just simply because, like I said, as soon as this video is done and uploaded, I'm going to be deleting this virtual machine anyway, and I don't want to waste a product key on it. And as you can see, this is a very outdated disk I'm using because it's Service Pack 1. So, like I said, things to remember. Your particular setup of your virtual machine may differ. These may not be the optimal settings for you. These are the optimal, well, probably not the optimal settings for me either. These are just quick and dirty settings to get it up and running, just to show you the basic steps of how to do it. Windows setup between Windows 7 and Windows 8 and Windows 10 are basically identical. There are some very small differences in the actual post-setup configuration, but those are pretty simple as well. There's not a lot of differences in them. If you, for whatever reason, you catch an error booting your virtual machine, Google the error. It'll always give you an error code, or at least a description of what the error was. You can Google it, find out exactly what's going on, why you got the error, and typically you're going to find steps to correct the error. Now, hold on, let me shut down this virtual machine. Close, power off. Powered off. Alright, yeah. Like I said, the actual initial setup of it is going to differ for everyone. Oop, video just went black. Give me 1 second here. I do apologize for changing my recording settings in the middle of recording, but that's how it goes. But yeah, I don't know why it was showing 4.2. Yeah, see, 4.51 gigahertz. That's weird. That's something I'm gonna have to look into, because that shouldn't have done that like that. Oh yeah, here's my Ubuntu virtual machine. Damn it, I forgot to delete the virtual machine. Oh, I'll log into Ubuntu here in a minute and delete it. So with that, if you do have any questions about the actual process, go ahead and feel free to leave a comment in the video. Catch me on Twitter, that's at GJC5500. You could also direct message me on either of those. I'm pretty quick at responding to stuff, but the main thing to remember is, if you don't know how to do it, ask a question. I mean, realistically, the internet's full of information. So until next time, don't forget to like this video if you liked it, and please subscribe if you want to stay subscribed. Have a good one, y'all.